They were fading piece by piece like old photos in the sun. The next morning, Carlos called me into his office. There was a folder on his desk and a gentle smile on his face. "A foster family is open to taking you in," he said, my chest tightening. "You don't have to say yes," he added quickly, "but it's a chance to live in a real home again." I looked down at my hands. They were small but strong. I had survived sleeping in a diner bathroom. I had walked into a new life with nothing but a backpack and a lie. Now someone wanted to give me a home. I didn't say anything at first. Then I nodded. "Okay," Carlos smiled. "Her name is Grace. She's strict but kind. No kids of her." "Own. You'll meet her tomorrow." Strict but kind. I could live with that. That night, I folded my clothes neatly into the plastic bag the shelter gave me. My heart beat fast. Not from fear this time, but something else. Something new. Maybe, just maybe, this would be the beginning of becoming someone new. Grace didn't smile much when I met her. She wore a long gray coat and had short, neat hair, like she trimmed it herself. Her face was firm, but her eyes were soft. She looked like the kind of person who didn't waste time with extra words. But when she did speak, you wanted to listen. "Emma, right?" she asked, holding out her hand. I shook it. "Yes, ma'am." "I'm not here to replace anyone," she said quietly, "but I run a clean house and I expect respect. You'll have your own room, you'll go to school, and you'll help out. Is that clear?" I nodded. "Yes, ma'am." She gave a small smile, just the corner of her mouth. And that was enough. Her home was small but warm. Shelves full of books, a worn rug in the living room, and a kitchen that smelled like cinnamon and old wood. My room had a twin bed, a wooden desk, and a window overlooking a quiet street. It was more than I'd had in months, maybe ever. That first night, I couldn't sleep. Not because I was scared, but because I wasn't. I wasn't on a bench or in a shelter or hiding behind a lie. I was in a real bed with clean sheets and a closed door. I felt safe. School was hard at first. I hadn't been in a classroom since before the train station. I didn't know what grade I was supposed to be in, and I didn't like people staring. Most kids ignored me, but some whispered when they thought I couldn't hear. "That's the foster girl," they said. "Do you think she was homeless?" I heard she doesn't have parents. I kept my head down and focused on my work. Grace checked my homework every night. She didn't praise me much, but when I brought home my first A, she made spaghetti and let me have a second slice of garlic bread. I knew that meant she was proud. One weekend, she asked me to help clean the attic. We pulled down dusty boxes, filled with old letters, photos, and broken lamps. "Whose are these?" I asked. "Mine," she said, wiping her hands on her jeans. "From a long time ago, before I was alone." She didn't say more, and I didn't ask. But in that moment, I realized she understood loneliness in her own way. Over time, I stopped, looking over my shoulder. I stopped expecting the phone to ring with bad news. I started using the library, staying late for science club, and tutoring kids who needed help in math. I still didn't tell anyone the truth. Not about the train station, not about my real name, not about the parents who left me and never came back. But I didn't feel like I was lying anymore. I wasn't that girl. I was Emma Carter now. The name on my school ID, on my homework, on my future. Every year on my birthday, Grace gave me a small gift. Nothing big. A used novel, a scarf, a necklace made of tiny silver beads. She never asked how I liked to celebrate. She just left the gift on the table in the morning, and I'd quietly say, "Thank you." Then one day a letter came. I recognized the handwriting right away. It was sharp and rushed, my mother's. It was addressed to Emily, not Emma. I froze in the doorway, the letter in my hand. My heart beat loud in my ears. I didn't open it. I didn't show Grace. I just slipped it into the back of my drawer under my socks. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. The past wasn't gone. It knew where I lived. But I wasn't the girl it remembered. I was someone new now, someone who had survived, who had built something from the pieces. I had a routine, a home, a future. I didn't need answers from people who'd laughed while walking away from me. I tucked the letter away and got ready for school the next morning, because Emma Carter had a test to pass, and I planned to ace it. I was 23, the day everything cracked open again. It was a regular Thursday. The sky was cloudy, and the bookstore smelled like dust and cinnamon, just the way I liked it. I had been working there for over a year, organizing shelves, helping customers, and drinking too much tea behind the counter. It wasn't glamorous, but it was quiet, safe, mine. At 13, Emily was abandoned on a train station bench by the parents she trusted most, and left to survive a city that never noticed. 10 years later, she's reinvented herself as Emma Carter, finding safety in a shelter, a foster home, and a quiet bookstore life of her own making. But when her long-lost father's voice finally cracks the silence with 40 unanswered calls, Emma must choose between the family she's left behind and the unbreakable person she's become. That evening, I closed up a little late. A couple had gotten into a long conversation about poetry, and I didn't have the heart to rush them. When I finally locked the door, the street was nearly empty. The air felt heavier than usual. My phone buzzed in my jacket pocket. I ignored it at first, probably a reminder or spam, but it kept buzzing. I pulled it out. 40 missed calls, all from the same unknown number. 40, not 4, not 14, 40. I stared at the screen like it was a ghost. Then came the voicemail notification. One new message. I shouldn't have listened. I should have deleted it and walked away. But my thumb moved on its own. Beep. Emily. Emily. It's Dad. I dropped the phone. My breath caught in my throat. I hadn't heard that voice in 10 years. Not since the train station. Not since he smiled and said, "We'll be right back." My legs felt weak. I sat down hard on the bottom step in front of the bookstore. My heart pounded so loud I couldn't hear the rest of the city. It was just me, the street lamp humming above me, and the sound of my father's voice replaying in my mind. "Emily, we found you. Please call us." They'd used my real name. Not Emma, not the name I'd chosen and built my life on. Emily, how did they find me? Did someone recognize me? Did someone from the shelter talk? Follow a paper trail? Had they been looking all these years? I didn't know. I couldn't think. I picked up the phone again. My fingers hovered over the screen. Should I call back? Should I block the number? I did neither. Instead, I walked, all the way home, past closed bakeries and flickering neon signs. I didn't notice the wind, or the cars, or the people rushing by. I just walked, clutching my phone like it might explode. When I got home, I locked the door, pulled the curtains, and sat on my bed in the dark. 40 missed calls, 10 years of silence, and now this. I opened the drawer beside my bed and pulled out the letter I'd hidden years ago, the one addressed to Emily. My hands shook as I held it, just like they had the day it arrived. I had never opened it. I still didn't. I pressed it to my chest and closed my eyes. I thought about Teresa and the sandwich she gave me. I thought about the shelter, about Carlos and his calm voice. I thought about Grace and her quiet love, her rules, her steadiness. I thought about the first time I made my own money, the first time I felt proud of who I was, and then I thought about the train station, the cold bench, the hours alone, the moment I realized they weren't coming back. Now they'd found me. But I wasn't that little girl anymore. I was 23. I had a job, a home, a life I'd built without them. I looked down at the phone one more time. It buzzed again. Same number. Same name I hadn't heard in a decade, still echoing in my ears. Emily. I sat there in the dark, knees pulled to my chest, watching the screen light up, then fade, light up, then fade again and again. But I didn't answer. Instead, I placed the phone face down on the table. I walked to the window and pulled the curtain aside just enough to see the street below. Quiet, peaceful, The same bookstore across the road, the same flickering street lamp humming outside. Everything looked the same, but nothing felt the same. For 10 years, I'd lived my life in layers. The first layer was survival, the second was silence, the third was growth. And now this call tried to peel everything back to the beginning, to the girl sitting on a train station bench, waiting for her parents to come back. I wasn't her anymore. I walked to my desk drawer and took out the envelope. My mother's. Handwriting, waiting patiently under my socks for years. It felt like it was pulsing in my hand. I sat down slowly and opened it for the first time. Inside was a single sheet of paper. No photo, no return address, just words. Emily, we don't know if this will reach you. We've tried everything, hired people, called shelters, nothing. We thought you'd come home. We thought you'd figure it out and come back, but you didn't. And now we don't know how to fix it. I know what we did was wrong. I know we laughed when we shouldn't have. It was supposed to be a joke, a lesson, something you'd remember and laugh about. Later, we didn't know you wouldn't come back. We miss you. If you ever read this, please come home. Love, Mom. I stared at the paper for a long time. They thought it was a joke, a lesson. I folded the letter slowly and slid it back into the envelope. Then I opened the bottom drawer and placed it under everything. Old papers, journals, faded receipts, like I was burying it because that's what I needed to do. I wasn't angry, not anymore. I was just done. Done carrying that weight, done wondering if it was my fault, done hoping they'd say sorry in a way that mattered. I had spent 10 years learning how to live without them, how to build something steady, how to become someone I actually liked waking up as Emma Carter. Not a perfect person, but a whole one. I walked back to the table and looked at my phone again. It lit up once more. Call number 41. I watched the name on the screen, pressed the side button, and turned it face down. I let it ring. Then I poured myself a cup of tea, opened my favorite book, curled up on the couch, and pulled the blanket around me. And in that moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in a very long time: peace.